Hi everyone, I'm Rob Scott from UC Today and welcome to this exclusive session where we're going to be diving into one of the most overlooked and business critical factors in the modern AI-powered workplace, and that's voice clarity. So today's discussion is called The Hidden Cost of Bad Calls. AI and collaboration demands voice clarity. And it's a big one because while many enterprises are rushing to deploy tools like Copilot and chatbots and AI meeting assistants, there's a silent killer eroding their ROI, and that killer is poor voice quality. So joining me today to unpack this, we've got two brilliant voices, Tim Banting, Head of Research and Business Intelligence for Today Digital, and Doug Jones, AVP of Product Management, Voice and Collaboration at AT&T. So gents, thanks for being here. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Good to speak with you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining. And I think this is a really, really crucial discussion today. And I'd love to bring our audience up to speed with why voice quality does matter in the modern workplace, because things have changed a little bit. So let's start to unpack this. And in terms of getting started, Tim, just wanted to go to you first on this. Let's just start with that big picture. I mean, AI is everywhere, from tools like Copilot in Teams to smart assistants in contact centers. But tell us, how reliant is AI really on voice quality and the input layer?
Well, data is the fuel to AI. AI is the big engine and data is the fuel. And that can be text-based, document-based, more likely to be voice-based as we start looking around, meeting transcriptions and call recording and customer calls into contact centers. And I think over 20 years ago, in the early days of voice over IP, when we started using data networks for real-time communication, we had this measure called the mean opinion score, and that helped us fine-tune networks and achieve good quality. And we sort of engineered around the issues around delay, jitter, and packet loss. And because voice is an input to AI, you need good quality to avoid misrepresentations, misunderstandings, and of course, hallucinations from AI. Moreover, we're sort of taking calls from anywhere. It can be business to business. You can be phoning from Starbucks. You can use all different sorts of channels. You can use voice over Wi-Fi, voice over mobile networks. Voice is critical. It's really important, and quality is essential to make sure that not only that you can be heard by other people, but now being heard by AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, from AT&T standpoint, what are your customers saying? Are they connecting the dots between voice clarity and AI effectiveness yet? Or, are they flying under the radar a little bit? What's your view?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Customers are feeling the impacts and the relationship between voice clarity and AI effectiveness to varying degrees. For those that are increasing awareness among early adopters, people who are more familiar with the technology, more familiar with the infrastructure required to support the technology, are more tech savvy, and they understand, therefore, the impacts the various components of their overall solution can have on AI. And therefore the impact of the individual components like the voice network and the voice connectivity and the voice endpoints. And therefore they understand the impacts more and more. For the rest of our customers that aren't as tech savvy, who are more the consumer, they probably don't quite understand it yet. They're still starting to understand AI, don't really understand what goes into supporting the end-to-end capabilities, and therefore are still probably blaming it on AI when they run into problems and not really understanding the importance yet.
And we see in tech stacks getting increasingly crowded, aren't we? Collaboration apps, CRMs, CX platforms, and lots of AI tools. But is the infrastructure actually holding up? And, is voice quality becoming the weakest link? I mean, I'm interested to hear from both of you on this, if that's okay. But Tim, what do you think to that?
You're completely right. It's foundational. It's real-time voice. It's all well and good at having asynchronous texting and emails. I mean, if you drop a packet, it doesn't matter. You start dropping packets on voice networks, or there's delay. I mean, it's a big faux pas. It's an infrastructure layer that is vitally important.
Yeah, and Doug, where does AT&T's infrastructure give companies the edge here, and particularly those using UCaaS and CCaaS solutions in more complex and these regulated environments?
Yeah, AT&T clearly understands the importance of the network. AT&T's number one asset is our network. AT&T operates a very large, reliable IP and fiber network in the US and globally. AT&T fiber is recognized as America's fastest internet and the most reliable, with the most reliable speeds. That provides customers with not only reach, being able to access the network from anywhere, but also handling voice in a special way. We prioritize voice above other data on our network in order to ensure the quality and reliability, to reduce jitter, the packet loss and latency, in order to ensure that the customers have a perceived voice quality and signal quality for AI processing.
Just on that point, I mean, thinking about it as well, video has got an audio component as well. So not only is it voice, but it's the voice component of a video like we're doing today. You've got to have a high speed, reliable, quality network set up to handle video. We're using video more and more. Even in our consumer lives, we video our friends and family. In the business world, most meetings are video now. We've sort of, in the post-COVID world, I think people have become comfortable with video. And of course, that's an important component. And all of that real-time traffic needs to be recorded, transcribed, leveraged by AI and adopted by AI. And of course, you need a really good quality network to be able to deal with the amount of video calls that are on the network today.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, not to be overlooked is the audio component of video. And that is still the underpinning of all of our communications, and something we need to make sure we retain at the highest quality, so it does support the latest AI applications.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some of those real world consequences. I mean, poor voice quality isn't just annoying; it leads to missed deals, broken compliance, and miscommunication in critical customer interactions. So Doug, any frontline examples that come to mind, maybe from sales teams or even contact centers?
Yeah, a couple of them come to mind. Talking with customers every day and issues they're running into, but also issues that we all would run into that businesses face is who hasn't called in to a call center for support for a technical issue or for a follow up on something they purchased, and then ran into a voice quality issue. Couldn't really hear the person couldn't hear them, something everybody's run into. Obviously has impacts to those businesses, to be able to provide the perception of a good quality business, as well as be able to support their end users and customers. So yes, absolutely issues that we run into every day with our customers that are looking for needing that high quality audio.
I think that applies to anyone that's got a contact center, but there's also other areas as well, I guess, Doug, like firms that are regulated by the FCA and need to comply with MiFID. You don't want to mishear a stock option sell or a put on stock, or, there's some highly impactful and very painful from a sort of
compliance standpoint.
Thank you. Compliance. I'm just sort of thinking around the sort of areas around the legal implications of just getting it wrong. It's huge.
Absolutely. Even I'm sure people have experienced the fact of after a meeting or after a session or after something was recorded, going back in to listen to it and then finding an error popped up because the AI agent couldn't connect the dots between the video recording and the audio log and the transcriptions. And yeah, you've got an entire meeting of information now has been lost.
So in reality, this is a big issue, isn't it? If the voice quality is not good enough, the AI starts to hallucinate and starts to output the wrong information. If you're regulated, that's a big issue, isn't it? That could end up in big fines or big trouble further down the line. So I think this is an interesting conversation. But let's flip it for a second. What does good look like, Doug? How are your enterprise customers using AT&T to lay a clean foundation for AI-enabled collaboration and CX?
Yep. As I said, many customers, especially the more tech-savvy ones, are starting to understand the importance and not forget about voice. It can also become a competitive differentiator for those companies that don't forget about voice. With many companies assuming and moving on and forgetting about the importance. It's no longer just a legacy communication channel. It's underpinning of really all communication modes still and through into the AI world. So it's clearly something that companies need to not forget about, but more importantly, keep it as a primary focus in order to drive their business activities.
Yeah, and Tim, from your perspective, do you think IT leaders and CIOs are starting to prioritize voice infrastructure again, or are they still chasing the next shiny tool?
I'd like to hope that they are. You're always on the record, aren't you? I guess now, with AI listening in the background when you're on meetings and calls. I think it's one of those things that's remained hidden during the sort of implementation stages of AI. I don't think many organizations just want to admit that they've got some of the fundamentals wrong. If you've got a poor quality voice infrastructure, a lot of people don't really understand that they need to check that as a fundamental issue before they start rolling out AI. So I think it's one of those things that should be strategic. And if it's not strategic, it desperately needs to be on the checklist before you start experiencing some of these potential issues that we've mentioned around AI.
And we have moved, it does feel like we've moved way beyond just cloud voice now. We are, most organizations are using some kind of fully unified communication and collaboration platform, right? Even with now contact center baked in. So there's a lot of complexity to consider here, isn't there? Especially when you've got frontline workers, and if you want fixed mobile convergence on like a Microsoft Teams, mobile, phone mobile, or a WebEx Go, for example. If you want those solutions, you're going to have to get the infrastructure right. So looking ahead, and I'll go to Doug first on this, what's your message to enterprise decision makers out there in 2025? Why should they be treating voice as a legacy, stop treating voice as a legacy concern and start seeing it as more of a strategic issue?
Yeah, they should see it as a strategic asset, one that can drive your customer experience, operational efficiency, and business growth. Like I said, it can also be a differentiator if it's treated strategically, because there are all too many companies who are not. So it very easily can be a strategic differentiator and help them drive their company in many ways.
What do you think, Tim?
Well, as you rightly pointed out there, Rob, there's all sorts of people that are accessing voice communications via, Starbucks coffee shop. They're contending with people trying to download latest episodes off Netflix or Amazon Prime. You need to have a really great quality network. It has to be strategic. The composition of the workforce has really changed. You've got people working from home, people working in a hybrid way, people working from offices, people working from coffee shops, people on the go. You need a good quality GSM connection. You need great quality voice, a great quality network. It all underpins everything that we're talking around AI. It just needs to, and even if you haven't got AI switched on yet, it needs to be rock solid. You've got to have something that's reliable and can deal with all of these sorts of potential issues around packet delay and drop packets and jitter.
And if I could highlight the part of not just a network and assuming all data on the network's the same, but really the right network that treats voice specially and prioritizes voice in order to be able to provide that experience that the customers want. Because if you do look at all data the same on a network, you're going to run into the obvious problems. You've got to treat voice specially, and the right networks. The good news is that the right networks already do. The right networks prioritize the voice correctly and treat it specially as it needs to be in order to be able to provide that good experience.
Absolutely. If we were turning the clock back 20 years, we'd be talking about quality of service and type, classifications in packet headers and things like that. Thankfully, we're not. We assume that it's all going to work, but that always depends on your selection of network vendor.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's safe to assume with the right partner.
And absolutely. Well, gentlemen, this has been a very powerful conversation, hugely important. One clear message is that AI might be smart, but it's only as good as the voice input it receives. So thank you, Tim Banting, Doug Jones, and thanks to all you watching. If you're serious about the future of work, get serious about the voice foundation that powers it. I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.